December 20th, and only 3 NHL games on the schedule tonight, but there's going to be a lot more to talk about than that, as I see the chat already talking about some games that were underway yesterday. An apology in line potentially here for Mr. Matt Russell and Alex Moretto about games that were given out yesterday. A little bit of a breakdown on the Rangers-Leafs game, and as well as always, we'll break down today's 3 games, give out best bets if we've got any in those, and if you guys have questions, please send them in the chat. We'll try to answer them. On days like today, when we've got this shorter slate, we're not just talking about the games that are in hand. If you've got futures or anything like that, different ways you're looking to play, different things going forward in the season, send them in the chat. We'll try our best to get to them and answer them throughout the course of the show. But before we can get into any of that, I got to remind you, today's show, as always, is sponsored by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp to help you do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book, whether it's for games, futures, or player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. So make sure to download the app today. It is available on iOS, Android, as well as on the web. And if you are looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at www.betstamp.app/edgework. It is available in the link in the description of the show as well, so you can click on that. But that's betstamp.app/edgework. Check that out. Signing up through there does help support the show. Let's get to this first and foremost, because we normally get to the picks that we had the day before or over the weekend or whatever. We do go 3 and 4 yesterday, so slight losing day. Actually, I think that might be one of our first losing days on the Tuesday show this season. It does bring our record on the year to 137, 131, and 2, over 270 bets, 7.7% ROI for the team so far this season. But Moretto, I got to get right to it. I think you're owed an apology. We went double best bet on the Hurricanes, and the chat was adamant about the Vegas Golden Knights last night. And boy, were they wrong. I got a message last night from one of our followers here who said, yeah, you guys were right about that one. Chat was wrong. They apologized, and the chat is apologizing here this morning about that pick.
Yeah, I'm not going to victory lap against our wonderful chat. I would never do that. That's yeah. that's not something I care to do. But we got that one, and man, it was a frustrating night for these bets. I personally went 3 and 3. I think the 3 and 4 was the fourth one was the Preds from Russell, right? I believe that's the one that yeah. So I mean, I was on Carolina, I was on Edmonton. Man, Edmonton. I had hockey myself last night. I didn't watch any of these games, but it looked like Edmonton dominated that. Sorokin 2.83 goals saved above expected last night. Again, Oilers 64% of the expected goal share in that game. So I mean, I think the Oilers were the right side. Price was probably right considering how that game went, but obviously that's going to happen when you're facing an elite goalie like Sorokin every once in a while. Mixed bag with the totals. A little bit of an explosion in the third period in the Bruins game. Mm-hmm. The under in the Blackhawks game gets home. The over in the Toronto game gets home. The under in the Nashville game does not get home. So just kind of a very mixed bag. The thing that I'm most upset about though is not locking in the Rangers. I talked about how I kind of the Rangers I thought were the right side. I like the Rangers. Was waiting to see if we could get a slightly better number with the Rangers, even though I liked the number that it was at when we were on the show, and I just I don't know, man. Every time I bet against the Leafs, it's like I'm asking for pain. So I think that kind of factored into the just not wanting to lock it in and have to deal with the, ramifications today, talking to you on the show. But I'm upset. And then the line really started to drift after the show too, and the Rangers took a lot of money, and there was just never a point where I was able to get in. So kind of what I feel like is a missed opportunity there.
It's actually going to start paying you to bet against the Leafs every night.
No, normally Moretto and I are on pretty much the same page when it comes to betting on or against the Leafs in these spots. Those ones yesterday, I just have a hard time with when it gets down that tight. It kind of gets to the pick 'em. It's I could see a situation where the Leafs come out and win 7-3 or whatever like they did last Tuesday, and I could see a situation where they lose 5-2 like they did last night. And at Pick'em, I can't really justify either side for myself. I would way prefer to just stay away in those spots. But yeah, that game obviously does end up 5-2 there for the Rangers, Matt. Your New York Rangers. I mean, Moretto there's got what is it, 4 teams there now on his bio. But
14
you're still
probably should be
sticking with the Rangers. Take us through last night's victory, how that felt for Rangers fans, and what are your thoughts coming out of that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a weird game, right? Like the Rangers got 4 on Martin Jones, and I think 3 of those hit a Leafs player on the way in. So it was
Yeah,
definitely a bit odd of a game. I thought it was pretty even overall, which like after last week, you kind of wanted, from a Rangers fan point of view, you wanted to see them like play well against Toronto after kind of getting embarrassed on home ice last week. Uh, I forget who made the comment about Igor yesterday, but now he's put a couple of really good games together back to back. It's like he is very streaky. So it looks now like he's on one. So like I think you kind of got to adjust to that pretty quick. But no, I mean, like, look, the Rangers are good, regardless of what you guys say about the Leafs. Like, I still think the Leafs are a pretty good team. Like, it was an entertaining game. Yeah, the Rangers get a couple of goals that looked relatively lucky, to be honest. But no, they played a good game for sure. Uh, it was just kind of looking at like those results from last night, though. It was very weird, right? Like the
yeah.
Bruins game, 2-1 with 7 minutes left, under 5.5 doesn't get home. The Nashville game looks like it's dying 5-1, and with like 11 seconds left in the game, there's just a random goal by Nashville on a guy left wide open. So it's like a couple
Such
of
an
those easily
unnecessary
could have gone the
goal.
other way. Yeah, a couple of those easily could have gone the opposite way. That said, like Chicago and Colorado was 2-2 like 8 minutes into the game. So I have no idea how that one even got home. So it was definitely kind of a mixed bag last night for sure. But I love how you specified first losing day on the Tuesday show because now we're on Wednesday where yeah.
That's not. That was
Overassumed
not
on
a jab.
Wednesday.
That was not a jab at the Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it is, Moretto. I don't know, like maybe not record wise, but at least in terms of units won or lost, or whether we're up money or down money coming out of a day. I'm pretty sure that is probably the first losing Tuesday that we've had. So
Once once football
impressive.
season ends, I'm gonna enlist Jason's help to go and watch back each episode and like at least the end where we recap the picks, and he's gonna have to track it day by day.
Yeah, well, that was like somebody asked if we could mark out the picks and like who had given each of the picks.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, I'm pretty sure we had already locked in like 155 picks or something like that. When I was looking at it for the season, I was like, this is going to take me so long to do. Like I'm going to have to do so much work here, which is just not gonna work with the other stuff that I have to do on a daily basis. So yeah, Jason can go and do and figure that out at the end of the season. As far as the chat goes yesterday, obviously, no hard feelings towards the chat, but that one was going to be a fun one because I think we're on the same side as the chat pretty much 99% of the time. And yesterday was the first time they were adamantly against us with the Vegas Golden Knights yesterday when we were taking Carolina, and Carolina took care of that one pretty handedly. But I mean, Moretto, did you see Matt went out of his way to like show us that he hadn't learned a lesson last night? At some point in the third period, this guy's victory lapping the Hurricanes win.
I didn't see it until after the fact. I was on the ice and I got off to these Twitter notifications and I was like, my God, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost now. And thankfully they did not. But just like tempting fate, eh? Just poking the bear, just seeing what happens. Like it's insane.
I know. He's doing it just to fuck with us too. It's ridiculous. All right, let's get to today's games. I do see some questions about some futures there, so we'll get to those at the end there. If you want to send those in, we'll try to compile them and then answer them at the very end as well. If you're watching right now and you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications so you get notified every single time we go live. But let's start with today's games, and we're going to look at first and foremost the Winnipeg Jets hosting the Detroit Red Wings here tonight. Winnipeg minus 155, Detroit plus 139, and a total of 6.5. Moretto, I'll go to you here first on this. What are your thoughts on this Jets Red Wings game and where the market has kind of put it right now?
Yeah, so I do have a bet in this game, and that bet is on the under 6.5. There was some plus money available at one point. I don't think it's available now, but I think anything at minus 110 or better is good for me. I mean, which is very widely available. So yeah, I think that this is a case of like Detroit's offense is just completely fallen off a cliff. The Red Wings are like low key a bad offensive team, and I don't think that's being priced into the market. B, I think people are actually not only factoring them as not a bad offensive team, but they think this is a good offensive team. They're fifth in the NHL in goals, but they're fifth last in expected goals for the season per 60 minutes. They're just not generating a ton. They have an unsustainably high shooting percentage at 5-on-5. They're shooting over 10%, which is like fairly unheard of. B, it's like you must have some pretty elite talent up front, which I do not think that they do. They're due for some serious regression. DeBrincat's really slowed down. Like Lucas Raymond now only has 2 goals in his last 13 games. Obviously, Perron is suspended. On the Jets side, good defensive team. Don't generate a ton offensively. Kyle Connor being out, I think we're getting a little bit of a discount here because Brossoit is starting for the Jets, and I don't mind that at all. Brossoit is fine. Brossoit is very capable. I don't think the market thinks he is, but he's a very good goalie. He's not type of guy that's going to just go in there and lay an egg. He'll make the saves he needs to make. So I think that's also conducive to an under here where he's not really prone to those blowout games. And this is just a good price on under 6.5.
All right, under 6.5, -108. We'll track it at anything -110 or less. There's a lot of -110s out there. Shop around, make sure you get the best price available, but there are -105s all the way up to that -110. We'll just track one at DraftKings there because that one is pretty available. Matt, any thoughts for you on this game, whether it be side or total?
Yeah, I agree with the under. I actually kind of woke up today. I was like, well, I kind of like this, but talk me into something. And when he said the Jets under and I saw it and I knew it was Brossoit, I'm like, I'm in. I think I like Brossoit a lot more than the market does, kind of to Moretto's point. Like, he definitely struggled early on this year over like the first month or so. Ever since probably mid-November, he's actually been one of the best goalies in the league. I think he's like top 10 in goal save above expected over the last 4 or 5 weeks now. Yeah, the Red Wings, they're not a great offensive team. Like, they scored all those goals really early when they were just blowing through all of their metrics. Like, DeBrincat had, 9 goals in his first 8 games or something stupid like that. They've obviously come way back down to earth. Like, adding Patrick Kane just hasn't really worked yet because he's not that good anymore, right? Like, I think at this point, if anything, you're worried about, like, eggs from James Reimer, but now with their goalie issues too, like I think they're going to start to struggle here for a little bit. But yeah, no, I agree with the under here because I do like Brossoit quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. All right, first bet locked in. We will recap all these at the very end as well, so don't worry if you miss something or if you come late at any point during the show here. We'll recap everything that we've given out. But first bet locked in. Now we'll move on to the second game here. The Washington Capitals hosting the New York Islanders. Moretto's New York Islanders. Washington -114 here. The Islanders +105 and a total of 6. There's some 5.5s, but those are heavily juiced to the over on that. So 6 mostly out there right now. Matt, go to you first here on this. What are your thoughts on where this game is priced at right now and where the total is being set?
Yeah, so I kind of just hinted at the fact that there was one thing I woke up this morning and I kind of wanted to play. I said, oh, it wasn't in range. It looks like it's starting to come down. I want to bet the Capitals tonight. I think I'm going to end up on the Capitals tonight. If the best I get is these -115s, I'm going to end up taking that. I mean, you've kind of seen it with the Capitals this year. They started really slow and then they played really well for a bit. They jumped up, I think, to second in the division at one point. And then they struggled for a little bit there. And now they've been playing really well again lately. The Islanders, yeah, I mean, like last night they obviously got the win, but like Moretto said, like they did not play very well, and now they're kind of on a back-to-back. I just think this price should be a little bit higher. I think when it was up around -125, -130, that was a little more accurate. I can't wait for Moretto to come in here and fade me on this one because I'm betting against one of his 74 teams that he likes. But yeah, no, I think I'm going to end up on -115 on the Caps. I'm going to wait to see if the Isles take a little bit more money here, but I will end up on the Capitals.
Well, so what number do you need specifically if you're going to end up on them here?
I mean, I'm hoping to get -110, but if it does, it looks like it's going to hang around -115. I'll play -115.
All right. Moretto, rebuttal for your Islanders?
Yeah, we've Matt and I have been on opposite sides of this Capitals team quite a bit this season. I think they suck. I have no interest in backing them, especially not as favorites against my Isles. This is like, I just can't get to this price whatsoever. Now the Islanders have taken money, so like I don't really care to bet them at this price. But like the plus 110s that were there earlier, like I would have been fine with that. Varlamov's been good, steady, consistent, not spectacular like he was early in the season, but he's been very good. You know what you're going to get out of him. The Caps are just like, they struggle to generate anything, and they're like playing defensively like decently well. But I mean, the Islanders do what the Caps do. They just do it better. They're just slightly better offensive team, and they're just a better defensive team, and they have the better goaltending. Now, granted, it is a back-to-back, which does matter here, especially with the travel. But like, I don't know. I'm not betting it, but like the Islanders would be the side I'd want if I was betting it.
All right. Well, no play in this one, but we could almost lock this one in as a head-to-head here and recap what
we
happens.
We haven't had
here
too many
morning.
head-to-heads.
We can do a head-to-head at plus 110, minus 110 here.
Matt, good with that?
Yeah, I'm down. Why not?
All right, there you go. Head to head, we'll track that for tomorrow. We'll keep everyone updated on the Alber Moretto head to heads and fire those ones out on Twitter. I think that's the way we'll track those. Much like
this is the same Moretto that was victory lapping the Predators earlier this season when they were 8th in the Central behind Nashville or behind Chicago at the time. So
yeah, and
maybe we'll get that one on my side tonight.
Now they're in a playoff spot, or what's going on there?
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw the stat like this morning I woke up. They have the highest point percentage over the last 5 weeks, I think. It was something very much like that. You can't lose faith.
You can't lose faith in our Predators. They're like 5 points into a playoff spot, comfortably in a playoff spot right now. I mean, I'm sure the Oilers are turning things around and catch them at one point, and maybe the Wild. But like as of right now, I'm gonna say I was right, and that's it.
That Moretto, that's an insane statement to say in. Just over a week left, almost 2 weeks left in December to say comfortably in a
playoff spot right now.
5 points. Like if they were like where the Bruins were last year, I'd say yeah, comfortably. But oh my god! All right,
you know who else is comfortably in a playoff spot right now? The Flyers. Let me know how that's going to turn out in 3 months.
I hope they make it. They won't, but I really hope they do.
Yeah,
they're actually fun. I will say.
Yeah.
All right. Third and final game before we start answering questions from the chat. So if you've got them, fire them in there now. We'll answer those at the end of all the game breakdowns. But final game, the LA Kings hosting the Seattle Kraken here tonight. The Kings minus 163, Kraken plus 147. Currently see a total of 6 on books like Pinnacle. You can see some 6.5s elsewhere right now. Obviously coming down a little bit as it is heavily juiced to the under on those, coming back down towards the 6s. Moretto, thoughts on a side or total in this one?
Yeah, very, very strong lean to the under. Two of the best defensive teams in NHL this season over the last month, especially. But the Kings have those we're going to run you out of the building kind of games too, where you can see like a 5-1 kind of 5-2 sort of game where they start running up the score a little bit and things go a little off the rails. Which can kind of keep me off a little bit here. But like, honestly, all signs point to an under here. Just the way that the Kings play, especially on home ice, they really don't give up much. And Seattle's not a team that's going to threaten them in that department where when you play hockey defensively as well as the Kings do, and then you have, a team that struggles offensively as much as the Kraken do coming into town, I can't see Seattle generating much of anything here. Price is probably a little bit short even on the Kings too, but like not something I'm dying to lay. But like, yeah, under would be a strong lean for me. I just haven't bet it. And unlike past shows, I'm not going to talk myself into it live on the air here.
Okay. Matt, are you going to maybe talk yourself into something here?
I mean, I have the same strong lean. Two of the best defensive teams in the league right now. The Kraken are actually playing a lot better as of late. Like I was hoping for maybe a bit higher of a price. I was hoping to get maybe like a plus 160 here, something similar to kind of what they were in Dallas the other night. Just not going to get that with the Kings on the back-to-back. But yeah, it's under nothing for me here for sure.
All right, so just to recap our picks for today, we only need the 3 games. We're not going to force anything on the show if we don't have stuff. We've got the one bet here so far. We're looking at under 6.5 in Winnipeg, Detroit, minus 108 for a full unit there. So that's our one bet for tonight. Under 6.5, minus 108 in Detroit, Winnipeg. Guys, a couple questions in the chat for you. Before we get to these questions, though, Jeremy said, I'd say the loser has to buy the other guy's team's jersey, but then Alber would have to buy 4. That's not fair.
The good news is Canadians'
that's
jerseys are so cheap that I could probably buy 4 for like $30 right now. Nobody wants to wear that.
I mean, wow. Okay, taking jabs at the Habs.
Comfortably in a playoff race right now. These Habs
comfortably in a race, and then there you go. I think
in the celebrity race.
Charles says loser has to go to a Tuesday Leafs game. I don't wish that upon anybody. You're going to spend $200.
I would have gone to a Tuesday Leafs game yesterday.
Moretto knows. There's no.
Did you end up going?
No dice. No, I did not. I could not pull the trigger on that. It was not worthwhile.
I took my wife to her first and the only time I'll ever take her to a Leafs game, like 2 years ago, because it's not worth spending the money to bring someone who doesn't appreciate going to watch hockey. But like I brought her to a Tuesday game against the Islanders in like November, and she just, the only thing she kept saying to me, she's like, "Why is it so quiet? Like, this is weird. Why is it so quiet in here? I don't understand." Like, I'm just like, yeah, this is what it's like going to a Leafs game midweek in November. I mean, the fans are not so much fans, just a lot of corporates in the seats, and no one really gives a shit.
Yeah, especially weekdays, right? Like the weekday, like it's not like the Saturday is cheaper, but it's louder for sure. I would push back on people who say that it's quiet on weekends. It's not quiet. It's much louder on the weekends, but it's like the Tuesday, Thursday games that go in there. It's the people bringing people from work and sales and stuff like that, all filling in the lower bowl, spending ridiculous amounts of money on those tickets, and then it's just like, okay, now the price for me or like us who are just like normal guys who want to go in there and like actually enjoy a hockey game and aren't there to do business meetings, the price is now through the roof to us. And then I'm going to look at those tickets and be like, do I want to spend this? And then I'm not going to do it. And then someone else will buy them. That's part of the problem is like other people will buy them. Yeah. So then they get bought up and like that price will just never change. That's kind of
I only go if I get free tickets. That's basically the only way I go to these games now. It's also brutal when like these weekday games too. These fans are out getting food and stuff at intermissions, and like they're gone until like 7 minutes into the next period, and it's just like empty in the lower bowl. You're like, help. What do you? Yeah.
No, you're right. It's tough. It's definitely not just in Toronto, or at least not just with the Leafs. It happens with the Raptors here too. They have a big problem with that as well, I know. But it's like there has to be some way to rectify this because it just becomes an issue for energy purposes, right? Like you want to get people in seats and say like, oh, we can't be quiet in here anymore, and then even if they're in the seats, they're going to be loud. It takes 7 minutes into the period, like you said, to kind of get to that point. All right, a couple questions in the chat we'll get to. Charles says, is Granato the next coach fired? So obviously the most recent one here that's gone underway is being DJ Smith. I was listening to, by the way, some discussion about what happened with DJ Smith and why he was fired and why Jacques Martin was the replacement. It seems like he's just the bridge guy to kind of get them through the season. He was with the Senators as a consultant over the last year and a half, I believe. So probably being around, kind of filling in management about what's going on, what this team needs. Now he's probably just going to step in. He is 71 years old, but
Berube would be an unreal fit in Ottawa, I think. I think Berube would be a really good fit for that team.
Do you think that Alfredson could potentially be in line to do the Marty St. Louis? It's not the carbon copy, right? But it's like you stepped away from the game, you were with your family, you were coaching minor hockey. Now is Alfredson the one to step in? Because he's on the bench now, is he not?
Yeah, he is. He's on the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't heard him speak and whatnot as much as Marty, but like Marty's like just such an inspirational guy, and like the way he talks and the way he even broke into the league as an undrafted player and everything. Like I think a lot of that is conducive to him being able to be a good coach. I'm not saying Alfredson can't. I just honestly I'm not qualified to say whether or not I think Alfredson could be a good coach. I don't know. Very possibly could. Probably not the direction I would head though if I were the Senators. I think it made sense for the Habs in like the sense that you're very much in like the start of a rebuild here and you don't need to be good for a long time. Let's take a chance on a guy like this and just see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, can he motivate our young players? Can he help our young players kind of grow into the game, teach them how to be NHLers, teach them how to be professionals? Ottawa is very much in a state where like, hey, you've gone through your rebuild. Like you got to start winning games now. Like you got to be competitive. You have to be a playoff team. You have to be relevant. And taking a flyer on a guy like Albertson, and if he's not the right guy for the job, you've just wasted another year and a half. And then you're firing a team legend too. So like that also doesn't help.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. Yeah, like the Sens team, what is this now? 5-6 years of like, we're supposed to be good, we're supposed to be in the playoffs, and then wasted season. And I mean, you look at, it's not like it's impossible for them to get to the playoffs and rectify this year, but they pretty much have to go like 650 record like the rest of the way to do that. And on top of a 650, it's like you're also looking at the teams outside of them have to kind of regress or fall off a little bit, which, yeah, there's some teams ahead of there, like maybe the Flyers in the East that Matt's bringing up who could come down, but then it's like, okay, who else outside of the Flyers? Are these teams going to really drop off that much? Are the Sens going to be able to push past? Like, it's going to be really, really tough. I guess we didn't really answer the question there, kind of got on a different coaching discussion, but
the answer to the question though is definitely yes. 100%. I think he should, like, honestly, if I'm ownership and the Pagulas and whatever there last night, like you allow 9 goals on home ice to Columbus and like what's obviously a must-win game. Quinn back in the lineup, like finally like something for the fans to get excited about again. Oh, Quinn's back. Maybe this is going to spark us, whatever. And you go and lay an egg and you allow 9 goals to Columbus and lose in that fashion. Like that's he's got to be gone. Like he should be gone today. There's no way he should still be employed for their next game. I know it's like tough to maybe find a replacement before Christmas or whatever. And like holidays coming up and stuff, there's a little bit of a break. Like maybe that's why they're waiting, but like, my God, I would not want this guy coaching another game behind the bench if I were a Sabres fan right now. Absolutely no chance.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it with the Blues, right? With like, oh, maybe like we didn't think that the Sabres, like we thought they'd be like maybe a fringe playoff team, right? But like internally, those expectations are higher for sure. Like they expected to be in the playoffs this year. And Dukes of the East, like there were a lot of teams in the East that expected to be there, which is why I think like we didn't necessarily expect them to be. But yeah, I just don't know how he kind of survives this unless they kind of make a turnaround here.
They play the Leafs tomorrow, of course. Just perfect.
That's what I was gonna say. This might not work out for you guys because the game that they have coming up tomorrow is the Leafs, and you know what's gonna happen is they're gonna play the Leafs. They're gonna beat them 6-1, and then this whole like Granato fired campaign is gonna be stalled out for a couple of days. So it might give an opportunity for another coach to jump.
Honestly, who is the next? Not to like drag this out to much longer discussion, but like who's the next coach after Granato that you could realistically see being fired right now? Because I think Sully, if you look at like teams and where they are in the standings based on expectations coming into the season, the only teams that are like significantly underachieving, Ottawa, obviously, but they already fired DJ Smith. Edmonton, they already fired Woodcroft, and then Minnesota's already fired Everson. Calgary maybe, but like Huska's new. I don't think he's going to have this short of a leash. I don't think they're looking to make, I think their problems aren't necessarily coaching there. I think it's more with personnel. San Jose, Chicago, Anaheim, these guys didn't have any expectations. I don't think they're dying to make any changes behind the bench. Like the Kraken, I think Axel's kind of bought himself time with last season. I don't think necessarily they're dying to make a change there either. Columbus, no. Montreal, no. Everyone else in the East is in a playoff race. You have Buffalo, and then you have Pittsburgh, but Sullivan's already got the seal of approval, the stamp of approval from Dubas, and I don't know if his word means shit, but like at the end of the day, he has said that he is going to stick by Sully, and Sully's the right man for the job, and I do think Sullivan's a very, very good coach, so I don't see him getting fired. I think like things would really have to go off the rails for him to get fired. I mean, Lindy is interesting. That's fair.
Lindy Rott's the one.
They have turned it around a little bit though. Like they're I don't know. I think maybe a lot of their record right now is down to the fact that they were without Hughes and Heischer for as long as they were. They had obviously the Dougie Hamilton injury. There's at least a case where like internally, I think you can make a case for like, this is why we've been underachieving. And if things continue and like they don't turn it around significantly, then like, yes, but I think that they need to struggle at full health for a while longer before they would make a change. Whereas like, I think Granato's like an any day type of situation right now.
Right.
Yeah, I view Lindy Ruff in that situation kind of like the Rangers last year with Gallant, right? It's like, oh, okay, first year you pretty drastically overachieve, I think, compared to what most people's expectations were. So the bar gets completely reset, right? Like the Rangers going into last year and the Devils going into this year had relatively similar expectations. It was be up there in the East, maybe win the conference, like be a serious cup contender. And if the Devil, like, I don't think the Devils are going to do it mid-season or anything. But like at the end of the year, if the Devils don't make the playoffs or get knocked out in the first round, like, yeah, I think that's very real. But no, I agree on the rest. Like I was thinking maybe Hackstall, but I don't think they're going to do it that quickly after last year, especially. But
Yeah.
No, Lindy Ruff's the one. Like I think come end of season, like he has a chance to be gone if they don't turn it around.
All right. Another question here for futures to look at. Charles asking, are the Islanders 60-1 to win the cup a buy? Is this a price you would be jumping in on at the Islanders right now?
I'll go first here because I know he wants to talk about his Islanders. The Islanders are a team I would always rather bet night to night than win the cup. I just don't think they have enough kind of offensive skill to make a long playoff run. Granted, they do have the goaltending. But no, I think night to night they're generally undervalued. I don't see a whole lot in the futures market. They'll eventually get outclassed by teams that play that same style, like a Boston, like if they made it far enough, like Vegas, like it's even like Carolina, like those kind of teams that play the same style, just do it a little bit better.
Right. Moretto, thoughts? Defense for the Islanders?
No, I do tend to agree that I don't necessarily. I mean, 60-1. Honestly, 60-1 is a good price. I would take a flyer on them. That doesn't hurt to like throw some, a little bit of money down on that to add them to your portfolio at 60-1 because there's no way you're going to get them at 60-1 once like the playoffs start or anything like that. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can do with that number after that. So I would take that bet. Yes. Now that's what the question is. The question is not can the Islanders win the cup? It's are they worth, a stab at 60-1? And I think, yes, they're probably worth a stab at 60-1. I don't think they will win the cup, obviously, but like, look, when you have a guy like Ilya Sorokin, you are live on every single night and it's tough to beat a guy like that 4 times in a 7-game stretch. So, they're live in any series they play. I don't think there's a lot of teams dying to play the Islanders that, who are very capable of playing that shut it down defensive style, but also have the offense that they didn't necessarily have in years past when they got to those conference finals. Like Noah Dobson is maybe the most underrated player in the NHL right now. I don't know. And like, in my opinion, Noah Dobson is like, if the NHL players are going to the Olympics this year and Team Canada was picking their defense, Noah Dobson would absolutely be on my team. He'd probably be in my top 4. And I don't think he gets any recognition or credit, but like this guy's unbelievable. They have some really, really good players on the island that are kind of like flown under the radar. I think they like are more than just a, Sorokin team right now. They have a lot of nice pieces on the back end and up front that, Horvat, Barzal, all these guys, like this is a very good hockey team. So like 60-1. I think I did just talk myself into a little bit of a future here on air. So yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate pointing that out.
Man, I'm trying to think. That sparked in my head. I was trying to think about the Canadian D-men. You said top 4. Makar, Taves, Pietrangelo,
Shea
Theodore. Is Doughty in there now again? Like he's got like this resurgence all of a sudden. Is he back in? He's Team Canada veteran.
I mean, I guess you could probably not say top 4 just because of the fact that like Dobson,
Josh Morrissey.
Yeah,
Morrissey.
And they're not gonna split up. They wouldn't split
Schneider.
up Taves and they wouldn't split up Taves and Makar probably just because of familiarity there. But like maybe like Dougie Hamilton, I don't know, like Spurgeon, Ekblad. These guys have been good, but like I think he's one of the 4 best Canadian defensemen in the world right now.
Is Montour
and maybe top 5 at least. Maybe he's on the team, maybe. I don't think so, though. I don't think Montour makes the team.
Yeah, interesting. That'll be fun getting to NHL Olympic teams doing those roster breakdowns again. Hopefully, we actually get an opportunity
Tyson
to go through
Barrie?
that. Morgan Riley.
Braden Schneider.
Oh my god. Yeah, I get told all the time about how the Leafs chose to draft someone else over Braden Schneider. I'm like, what do you want me to do, man? I wasn't in the
Scored probably the
room.
nicest goal of his career last night against the Leafs, so that was fitting.
The lead up to it was nice. The goal itself was mediocre at best.
My point remains he doesn't score a whole lot. So.
Okay. All right, final question here. Jordan asking, thoughts on any futures / awards, and in brackets, Cooch for Heart, fingers crossed. Do you guys have any out there right now that you might be taking a flyer on? Any that have caught your eye? Matt, we know you got Panarin right now, but is outside of that, is there maybe anything you've added on, or where are you guys at for the futures market right now?
Yeah, I'll go first because mine will be quick. I've already added the Panthers on for the East. We talked about that a couple shows ago. I recently added them to win the division as well. I think it was plus 480. I'd have to go look. But even looking around now, like I see plus 450 over at DraftKings. That I think is still good. I'm very high kind of on the Panthers going forward. Like Bruins are starting to slow down a little bit. You don't really know what you're going to get for the Leafs here. And I'm not really concerned about anyone else in that division kind of coming up there at this point. Like it's definitely kind of between those three at the top. And then I think there is a pretty sizable gap before even Tampa Bay at this point.
Right.
So yeah, I added on there. I have not looked at other stuff. I'll take a quick look while Moretto goes.
Moretto, any futures?
Yeah, I was kind of like gonna use the break to sort of evaluate that stuff. But like one that I did make the other day, just because I didn't want to miss out on it. Flyers to make the playoffs is like plus anywhere from like plus 100 to like plus 120, depending on where you look. Why would you bet that when you can bet Tortorella at like 7-1 to win the Jack Adams, which I think he's very live to do if they make the playoffs. I don't think that price is factoring in like them actually making the playoffs, because if they do make it, I think he's easily top 2, and I don't see how, like, unless Vancouver wins the division or comes, top 3 in the West. Like, I think that Vancouver is due for a little bit of regression. I think they'll ultimately finish as a wild card team, and then if you have Philly making the playoffs as a wild card team as well, considering where their expectations were coming into the season, I don't see how Torts doesn't win it. So yeah, like 7-1-ish, 650, whatever is out there. That's a bet that I made the other day, and that's a bet that I kind of like.
Yeah, top 2 and not 2, if that's the case there. So
I'll play devil's advocate really quick. I do like the plus 700, but now that I'm actually kind of looking at the Flyers, I'm going to go the opposite way and say I'm almost ready to take a no price on them making the playoffs. Kind of like we talked about the Devils coming up here. I think this price is kind of peaked, right? And like we've already mentioned, they want to be in a position to rebuild. They are not going to be trade deadline buyers. Like they're not.
Yeah.
They've already come out and said that like it doesn't matter. They're doing a full rebuild. Like they're not. So they're not going to get better. You look at who's behind them. The Islanders are playing better. I think they're 1 point back. They're going to finish above. Carolina is only 2 points back, and they've been a train wreck. So it's hard not to see them kind of taking over Philly. And then you even look behind them, like, say what you want about the Caps. I think they're going to finish better than the Flyers. Like, the Devils are right there. Like, even the Penguins are right there. And a lot of these teams, like the Devils, the Penguins, the Canes, they're all going to be buyers. Like, they're trying to make the playoffs. They're trying to make runs, where the Flyers you look at go, okay, they're not. So yeah, they're there right now. Like I see minus 138 to miss the playoffs. Like I think that's good, but I think even if you wait a little bit and they maybe play a little bit better, like you may even be able to get like a minus 115, minus 120 coming on that soon. So no, I do agree on the Jack Adams thing. But no, I would prefer the Flyers miss the playoffs.
I haven't. I do agree with you, and I haven't looked at these markets much, but now that like I'm just in here, Islanders minus 128 to make the playoffs. We just talked about it. Like you look at the teams threatening to get in right now that aren't in currently, and it's Washington, New Jersey, Detroit, Montreal, then Pittsburgh. If we assume Philly's going to drop out, like, and the Devils take their spot. I don't see Washington passing the Islanders. I don't see the Wings. I don't see the Habs. I don't see the Pens. Like, I think the Islanders are in a pretty good spot to finish top 3 in that division. Never mind, just make the playoffs. So minus 128, I kind of like that too.
All right, that'll do it for the questions here about futures and our other markets we're taking a look at, and that'll do it for today's show. We have one best bet across the 3 games tonight, and that's the under 6.5 minus 108 in Detroit, Winnipeg there tonight. If you did enjoy the show, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. As far as content across the hammer over the next few days, there is a lot coming up still, especially leading into the final few weeks of the NFL season, as well as college football bowl season. You're going to want to check that out over on the Forward Progress YouTube channel, as well as they hit the Books YouTube channel. So make sure to head over there, subscribe, turn on notifications there as well. But first and foremost, make sure to like this stream, subscribe here to this channel. We do appreciate all the support. Appreciate everyone who comes out on a daily basis to watch the show or watches it after the fact. So thank you guys very much. Matt, Moretto, thank you guys for taking the time to do this here this morning. Appreciate it as always. Enjoy your holidays. We do have a show next Wednesday, correct, Moretto? Just double checking. We do have a show next Wednesday.
Our first show back after our first show of next week will be Wednesday.
Yeah, so we'll be back with you guys back then, or next
Huge
week then.
Slate next Wednesday too. We don't get many of those on the Wednesday show. We got
yeah, no, we don't.
eyeballing this. I think 14 games next Wednesday, if I'm correct.
The Edgework Bet channel is shaking at the thought of a big card for the Wednesday show.
I'm shaking.
Yeah. The fact that there's going to be that many games, that many best bets on a Wednesday, it'll be a fun one. But I'll see you guys then. Until then, enjoy your holidays. We'll see everyone else back here tomorrow. Myself, So Money, Rusty Bill back here tomorrow morning to break down tomorrow's games, give out best bets for that. So thanks to everyone who tuned in here today. Make sure to like and subscribe. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck on your bets.